Growing up in the Midwest, in Indiana, my parents tried to teach us how to maintain our culture. When I turned 19, my dad said, we're going to help find you a husband. And so this was kind of surprising to me because I was ingrained in the American culture too. So I think my parents just were doing the best they could to, help us maintain our culture and follow the way they thought would be beneficial for my brother and I. I think because I was having a lot of internal issues as far as trauma and things, it just put me further and further into more pain. I got into relationships in my 20s and 30s where they were not healthy because I didn't know what a healthy relationship was. I did not see that around me. And so I ended up, being in an abusive relationship. Many, many things happened in those 20s and 30s. And so, which left me even more bitter. I was very bitter and very confused. And I do remember like shouting at people, screaming. I entered into the church at age 39 and I eventually met a disciple, but his name was Jeff Bargmann. And he was a little bit older than me, and he had been in the church for many years, and he had raised his children in the church. He was a single dad. And I think the fact that there was a brother interested in me was very exciting. I think with Jeff and I, he knew how my personality was, and he was kind of a laid back, kind of strong, silent type. But he was very wise, and he knew how to communicate with me. I had some issues, still from the previous trauma, but, as a disciple, you're working through those things and you're growing. So I did move to Omaha to get to know Jeff more, and eventually we did date. We did get engaged, and we did get married. And it was like a dream come true. My parents, who were opposed to me being a disciple, eventually they came around. They walked me down the aisle to get married. Jeff's children were in the wedding. His grandson was the ring bearer. So it was a very, very special time. A few months into our marriage, I think maybe 4 months into our marriage, Jeff began to just mention that something was affecting him in his stomach. He was complaining a little bit about that. And then, so we got married in October, and the following spring, he started talking more about this discomfort and pain in his stomach. I got a text from Tim and telling me to come to the hospital. So I came to the hospital after work, and they had already done the tests, and I was standing at Jeff's bedside, and Tim, Wendy, and 2 other ministers in the church, Carla and Jeff Lessman, we were all 6 of us in the room. And the doctor came in and read the results from the scan and some other things. And it was shocking. I mean, I think time just stopped, really. The doctor that day at the hospital started reading the results, and the cancer, it was cancer, and it had spread all over. I mean, it was everywhere. And as far as the pain Jeff had, I remember just holding Jeff's hand while he was laying in the hospital bed, and we both cried. And we were just so shocked. And I had not seen Jeff cry before, and so I saw him cry that day. I don't have any regrets about being married and now being a widow, being married only for 10 months. I don't, because I felt like I gave everything to this man, Jeff Bargmann. I gave everything, all of me, because it's almost like I waited my whole life just to be with this person. And I feel like I got my dream come true. And I was able to serve him in his time of need, and we loved each other so deeply. And I'm glad that I got to experience what it is to be loved by another man. I think being single and a woman in the church is hard, but being an older single woman is definitely hard. We have dreams too, just like everybody. I think sometimes people may give singles pat answers and say, God doesn't promise everybody somebody. And I think that's not really fair to say to somebody, especially when they're hurting, because I think saying something like, well, God doesn't promise everybody, I think that's kind of like saying, well, then, your dream is not that big of a deal. What I would like to say to other singles who, especially people who have been single a very long time, that I hear you, I see you, we see you. Most importantly, God sees you. It is not easy. I understand waiting and having a dream in your heart and wondering where this dream will go, if it will ever happen. And that is very hard to wait and to have the faith, to continue day after day to have this faith. And, along with that, you are doubting. I know I've gone through seasons of doubting and wondering what is happening, what is going on. And I feel like I want to say that God is aware. He says He wants to give you the desires of your heart. Don't give up. Be encouraged and keep the faith.